know that staying on top of technology and digital innovation can be a full-time job in itself, but one Connecticut company is working to help other businesses stay relevant in this ever-changing digital age. Joining us this morning for our Work in Connecticut segment is Bryn Tindall, owner and CEO of Rebel Interactive Group in Southington. Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Let's start first and foremost. I don't think that the name gives too much away. Right. So tell me a little bit about your company and what you do.
Sure. Rebel is a digital marketing agency, right? We're sort of the fusion of marketing, technology, and entrepreneurship. And that entrepreneurship is the twist, right? And what I mean by that is when you're an entrepreneur, you sort of figure it out, right? You have to get things done, sometimes on a budget, and you tie that to marketing and technology, and sometimes it can really help accelerate companies and brands, right?
Who in particular are some of your clients that you've worked with?
Yeah, we work with companies that a lot of people would recognize. They're multinationals. Some are large corporations just in the U.S. or manufacturing, so Mercedes-Benz, Permatex, just large banks, insurance companies. It really ranges. In addition, we have a lot of sort of smaller businesses as well, yeah. So it's the range.
Obviously, when you're working with so many different companies and even some large-scale companies, you need to be everywhere. What made you decide to set up shop in Connecticut and, the Hartford area specifically?
Yeah, I started my first business when I was living in Tampa, Florida. And this was around the dot-com era, the late 90s. And as I was looking around as what was happening in the marketplace, the greater marketplace, I saw, although Tampa is a wonderful place to live, we sort of missed the window of the technology opportunities. And so we started looking around, and we decided to move to Hartford because really it's got a wonderful proximity to Boston and New York, right? It's a short train ride to New York and a short ride to Boston. And a huge percentage of the corporations in America are located between Boston and New Jersey. And then we picked Hartford specifically because it was close enough to the locations, great quality of life, standard of living, and so forth. So it turned out to be a really good decision. It was interesting when we lived in Tampa, many times we'd find ourselves having to hop on a flight to come work with companies up here because the decision makers were up here, so it sort of worked out.
Gotcha. And another good thing is that you're able to employ people here in Connecticut. We always love to hear that,
right.
But your employees have a special work environment. I think I'll call it special because it's pretty unique.
Yeah, when I first started these kinds of companies years back, we had the idea, and this was early on before it was very trendy, to allow people to work from home. And we sort of evolved that. It's a bit of a hybrid model now. We have a large office in downtown Southington, but we allow folks to basically work from home. There is no cubicle farm. There's no specific desks or offices. It's sort of like a WeWork meets a Panera space.
There we go. We have some pictures up right now. That's your space. And how does that really help with the culture? I have to imagine that when you're allowing people to do things in their own space, in their own time, that can help foster their own creativity.
Yeah, we hire, the nature of the business is to hire very creative, very smart people who, don't like to be micromanaged, right? When you think about having to sort of think outside of the box for folks. And we found that you can attract and retain talent by not trying to micromanage them and giving them the freedom to sort of manage themselves and the projects. Yeah.
How also do you keep on top of all the different trends? Because they are constantly changing. You might have one idea for a marketing campaign, and then within days, it could change. Like someone could have already done it, or something new could have come out. How do you keep on top of all of that?
Yeah, there's no question in the business that we're in that it's constantly evolving. You can almost wake up, test the pulse, and see which direction it's going.
Right.
And I would say in terms of emerging trends, there's no question that video is becoming something that you're going to see more and more of. When I say video, it's immersive video, 360 video, augmented reality, virtual reality. There's more and more of that happening. That happens because of the technology has evolved, things like Oculus Rift and so forth. Yeah.
I'll follow up with this last question for you. What would you tell companies, whether they be a small business or a large business, about what they need to do in order to stay relevant and stay successful?
Yeah, I would say you have to embrace technology, but at the same time, the technology has to be empathetic and humanized, right? Okay. If you think about the concept of sort of driving down the road and you're heading to a Dunkin' Donuts and all of a sudden your phone is alerted that you're there. People think that's magic, right?
Right.
It isn't, right? It's tied to networks and so forth, and we know where you are because your phone knows where you are, right? But if you use that in the wrong way, it can backfire against you. So there's this balance between being sort of understanding the people and the emotions and the technology.
Right. Well, thank you so much. I feel like I got an education here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
And if you have a business that you think we should feature here on Fox 61, email us at workinct@fox61.com and share what makes Connecticut great using the hashtag CTConfident.